Good evening, everybody. I'm Greg Fishel, and welcome to Up Late. Here's what the forecast looks like for tonight. Radar shows only a 10% probability of Sam saying something cringeworthy tonight, but the probability of that skyrockets as soon as he begins to sip his bourbon. And speaking of bourbon, brace yourselves. There's a 20% chance that Sam will choke on his bourbon, but that is contingent on some other factors, like the studio's heat index and the size of his sip. The bigger the sip, the greater the chance of seeing activity in that area. And whether or not this system develops into a full-blown pun storm remains to be seen, but I would expect scattered wordplay showers followed by widespread groans. Okay, folks, that's it for now. We'll talk to you soon.
Coming to you almost live from the Herbert I. Greenberg Studios at WHIG, it's Up Late with Sam Bass.
Thank you, Scott Smith, and thank you, Greg, for that wonderful forecast. I will do my best not to choke on my bourbon tonight. I will not guarantee that. But welcome to the show. First off, I want to thank our great presenting sponsor, First Class Real Estate Triangle East. Let me ask you a question. Do you dream of owning a home? Do you dream of selling your home? Or moving to a new one? They have so many great agents over there. Let them be the first ones you reach out to. Also, make sure our other great sponsor, Metro Maintenance, make sure you go to their Facebook page. They have so many great tips for just regular stuff that you do not know about that helps you bring your energy bill down, things like that. Metro Maintenance is the place to check. And let me give a special shout out to our green room sponsor, Serve Pro of Rocky Mount, Tarboro. We had a little accident in our green room a couple of weeks ago involving a goose and a duck and my bourbon, but they did a great job cleaning it up as always. Got us up running again like it never even happened. So as you may have guessed already, tonight's guest, back by popular demand, is none other than Greg Fishel. Calm down, sit down everybody. Greg, thank you so much for coming back.
They're booing, right?
No, they're standing. Everybody sit down.
No, it's good to be back. We had a great time the first time, so looking forward to it again.
So I will tell you, you are our first repeat guest.
Wow.
Maybe there should be some kind of a trophy for that. I don't know.
All right.
We'll see what we can go with.
That's masochism on your part?
Exactly. So tonight, instead of doing our traditional monologue and top five, we thought we would go ahead and bring you out because we ran out of time last time. And I don't want it to happen again. So first of all, before we get going, how was your experience at a Serve Pro green room?
Well, we got a lot of rain one time, and it did a lot of damage, and I understand they were flooded with requests to clean that up.
I know. It's a great green room, and Jonathan, he does a lot to take care of our guests. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's first class all the way in there.
Absolutely. None better.
I threw another sponsor in there when I said that. Jonathan's got a great team. Great business. So I want to ask you what you've been up to since our last episode, which was in October.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You got on the road and went to watch the eclipse.
Yes.
Where did you go?
A little town called Forest, Ohio, population 1,200.
Okay.
And they did it up right, man. They had food trucks and craft fairs, and they turned it into a real celebration.
So your whole thing was to go somewhere where it was going to be the complete
Yes.
coverage. We've talked about this a little bit. I've always heard you're not supposed to look at it regardless of how much is covered because you could still damage your eyes, but you told me that I'm wrong.
Right. If you're totality during that period of time, it's perfectly safe to look at it with the naked eye. But what I did was I knew what the beginning and the end time was, and so I set an alarm 30 seconds inside of each of those limits just to make sure that a little bit wasn't going to sneak out the side and kill my eyes. But you know what the safest way is to view an eclipse?
What?
You take a paper clip and you unbend it and you cut off a small part and tape it to the middle, and then you have a clip in the shape of a letter E, which by definition makes it an E-clip. And it's perfectly safe to look at any time of day, any time of year.
I think I might look at one of those after the show. So I do have a possibly dumb question.
Okay.
Can an eclipse have any effect on the weather?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I guess it was in Columbus, which was not too far away from where I was, that the temperature actually dropped 5 degrees there during the totality period. So, yeah, there's some momentary changes, and then as soon as the sun comes back, it warms right back up.
Well, even though we didn't get the 100% coverage here, I did notice it cooled off when it was taking place. So I didn't know if you heard this or not. One of the gals on The View, I love The View, said no one ever, that the eclipse was caused by global warming.
Oh, gosh. And see, this is what takes credibility away from good science and stuff like that. But no, eclipses have been going on since, time began. And you have lunar eclipses and solar eclipses and all that sort of stuff.
So before we move off this subject,
yeah,
I want you to tell everybody what you told me about the size of the sun and the size of the moon and all that.
Yes, the sun is 400 times farther away than the moon from the Earth, but it's 400 times as big. And so to the human eye, it shows up as about the same size. And it turns out that the moon, was closer to us this time around, so it appeared bigger, better chance then of covering up the sun for a longer period of time. So you always want the moon closest to you to maximize that effect.
So this is like a rare eclipse. Now, didn't you tell me there's one coming up next year? Amsterdam?
I believe, I think it's Sweden or Norway or something like that. Somewhere
We're going, by the way. Go ahead.
And the thing about it is, I mean, if you want to see eclipses, there's opportunities worldwide, all the time. It's just that the next one in this neck of the woods, I don't think happens till 2045, and I'll probably be long gone by then.
We'll all be toast. So I got a question to ask you, and there's a reason, because you told me about it. You recently went on a cruise back in January.
Yes.
On a scale of Love Boat versus Titanic, how would you rate the cruise?
Probably in the middle, and it wasn't anybody's fault, but we had this is so ironic, a front stalled right over the Bahamas the whole week. And I think I saw about 3 hours of sun, the entire 4-day cruise. But I was, to best of my knowledge, I was the oldest person that went down both of the water slides.
Congratulations. That's pretty awesome. So let's get on a serious note. I did not know this, and you get me right on this.
Okay.
Is it true that you are America's first broadcast meteorologist?
Yes, but there's some added information that needs to be told.
No, we don't have to talk about it. Just say yes.
Well, seriously, what happened is that I was on the board of the AMS board for broadcasting, and right after I was on the board, they asked me to chair the committee to develop a 600-question exam. Because we didn't have an exam prior to that time. It was all done on people evaluating tapes, okay? And so I joined forces with like 10 other people to get that done, and they basically made me number one as a thank you for doing that. But any one of those people were equally qualified to get that
What were you like, 24 when that happened?
Oh, no, it was actually, I think I was in my 40s when that.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
So you can always say somebody's a better meteorologist, even though I don't agree with that, but nobody else can say that they're the first.
Right, but I mean, I always feel guilty about that in the sense that, there are other people that put in a ton of good work on that. And,
Yeah.
So, and the thing about it is, like when somebody offers you something and you keep saying no, you're not giving them the chance to have the enjoyment of giving you a gift.
Right.
And so I finally looked at it that way, like, I don't want to make this person mad. They're trying to do something nice for me. I'm going to let them do it.
Okay. So last time you were here in October, I asked you.
You have better memory than I do.
It's in my notes. What your winter prediction for snow was. As I recall, you would say the chances are better than they've been in years. And I don't think there was a single flake that fell. So what were the circumstances that caused us not to get any snow this year?
The one thing that I pointed out, and I have this weather subscription service where I make videos, and one of the videos I did specifically on this, that everybody was saying, oh, there's an El Nino. It's, every time there's an El Nino, it snows a lot. No, if you go back through history, the increased percentage chance of having above normal snowfall went up 9%. In fact, the biggest snow we ever had in 2000 occurred in a La Nina, okay? So I was trying to point out to people, don't hang your hat on this because it's not a one-to-one thing. And of course, as it turns out, it was just as bad as the year before. Or good.
I'm not calling you out on it.
No, it's
just a question.
Yeah.
I do have a question from a viewer.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think we're ever going to get back to normal winters? This is from Ronnie Tharrington. He's a loyal viewer. Do you think we're ever going to get back to normal winters and those kind of things in the future?
I don't honestly know. I am skeptical about it happening, just based on the long-term trend over the last 30 years. Mm-hmm. But there are cycles. You can look back through history and see decades that had lots of snow and then decades that didn't have much snow. And so I think we have to wait, and like over the next 10 years, does it continue to go down or does it begin to bounce back up? And I'm not smart enough to be able to tell you how that's going to play out.
Well, if you can't figure it out, nobody can. So we're going to take a little break here. We're going to continue the interview here in just a minute. So sit tight for a word from our sponsors. We'll be back with Greg Fishel next.
First Class Real Estate Triangle East. When buying or selling a property, think of us first. Metro Maintenance has provided fast, reliable services in Nash, Edgecombe, and Halifax counties for over 35 years. Metro Maintenance offers services for residential, commercial, and institutional facilities. These services include heating and cooling, electrical, plumbing, and general repairs. Our numerous years of experience, knowledge, and resources help us to accomplish our mission of serving our customers with superior service achieved through integrity and hard work. All of our work is guaranteed. For service, call 252-977-2730 or find us on the web at metro-maintenance.com.
Phil's Music Exchange of Wilson offers thousands of vinyl LPs, CDs, cassettes, 8-tracks. They even have reel-to-reels, DVDs, Blu-rays, VHS, video games, an abundance of music. Check them out today, 207 West Tarboro Street, downtown Wilson, or philsmusicexchange.com.
We're back. I had an opportunity to refresh my bourbon, and so did Greg. So we're going to continue. I have a couple of things I want to ask you based on our last interview. The last time you were here, you were thinking about maybe moving back to the Triangle area. Yep. I mentioned maybe Nash County might be a good option for you. Any progress or updates?
None. And I'll tell you what happened. When I moved in to the condo in Myrtle Beach in 2021, the interest rates were low, and the prices of real estate were low. Now, the interest rates are higher, and my HOA dues have gone up 82%. And I'm told it's all because, like when Hurricane Ian hit Florida, the insurance companies took a huge loss and said, hey, we need to make this up. And so all the HOA dues in our building went up over $500 a month overnight.
God.
And
You gotta love that.
so between the interest rates and that, I'm not sure if I was in the market to buy something that I would even look at that, you know?
Right now, it's not a really good buyer's market, but if you talk to our friends at First Class Real Estate, they could probably tell you why it is a good reason. But
So if
changing
you're
gears
looking for something.
you're looking for something, call First Class, Brett and Tiffany. So I want to ask you this. Going back, I remember you maybe sat or jumped into the WRAL fountain.
Yes.
What was that all about?
I made what I thought was an innocent wager on the air one night that I was so confident the pattern was going to lead to measurable snow at the airport within 2 weeks that I would jump in the fountain if it didn't. And it did end up snowing in Roxborough, but never made it to the airport. And the promotion
Technicality there.
Yes, and the promotion department just decided to turn this into a circus, which I did not anticipate at all. And so that night there was actually a crowd that gathered outside, and Dr. Mask was doing features on hypothermia, and I was sitting there going, "This is not a good sign." But yeah, that's what that was about. And and you know what? Somebody sent a note to me sometime after that and said, "You taught my son about being accountable." You know, I mean, he actually saw it as something that taught his son a lesson about life, which that was the last thing from my mind when I did it. But you know, I'm glad it worked out.
How cold was the water?
37.
So have you ever done a polar bear plunge?
I have not.
I almost did one year in Atlantic Beach, and I should have because it was like 70 degrees that day. That would have been the day to do one. But so what is the craziest thing you've ever done on or off the air? And don't mention anything that we did this afternoon before the show. You might get me in trouble. What's the craziest thing?
Oh, gosh.
Have you ever flown in one of those hurricane planes?
No, and here's the thing. I had an opportunity 2 years ago, and I turned it down because at that time, even clear air turbulence, I would immediately assume that I was going to die. You know, I mean, I was that scared. Now I sort of look at it as a bumpy road. It just happens to be 6 miles up.
Yeah.
And so if I had the opportunity again, I probably would take it now, because the safety track record is impeccable. They've never lost anybody, knock on wood. You know, so
let's hope it didn't start with you.
Right. Exactly. But gosh, I'm having trouble thinking of anything outrageous. I was telling you just off the air just now that I used to do live shots from the Greek festival whenever it came to Raleigh, and I think they had a liqueur, I think it's called ouzo or something like that, and I swear I was, that was a mind-altering substance and all you needed was a sip. That was unbelievable.
Sometimes we get into situations like that we're not looking for. But so what are your other hobbies other than studying and forecasting weather? What do you like to do?
Well, the music's always been a big deal. My parents subscribed to the Reader's Digest, music collection thing back in the day, and so I was brought up with that. And my dad and mom tried to convince me that anybody that played a guitar was a communist, and so it took me a while to appreciate that type of music, which I do now. But I've been so blessed to get up with two organizations in Myrtle Beach. One is the North Myrtle Beach Community Band, and the other one is called Festive Brass at Myrtle Beach. And the latter, we are 3 weeks from today going to Normandy, France, to perform for the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion.
Very cool.
And I have been to Normandy one time, and it was very moving, but I think performing for an event like this, and apparently the French value this day as much or more than we do, because I think they were the first ones liberated. And so they're very grateful for what the United States did for them.
Well, didn't you tell me that you wouldn't be able to play your own tuba?
Yes, we're going to rent them over there, and we have no idea if they're piston valve, rotary valve, or anything. We don't even know if the mouthpiece will fit, so fingers crossed.
You guys might sound like the Mayberry Band over there.
That's right. That's exactly
I hope
right.
not. So hopefully that won't happen. But also, you did not ride a roller coaster until you were what, 45 years old?
I think that's right, yep.
Why
And
did it take you so long, and which one did you ride?
it was the Hurricane at the old Myrtle Beach, I believe, Pavilion. And my son Austin, who was probably 7 or 8 at the time, got off this thing and came up to me, and he looked up and he said, "Dad, it's not that bad." And I just couldn't not do it anymore. And then when we went down to SeaWorld, where they had the Kraken roller coaster,
Oh gosh.
that looked a little scarier. And I will never forget my wife at the time looking at me and saying, "Breathe, Greg, breathe." But now I don't have any problems with them.
Well, I can tell you, one time at Myrtle Beach, I took my wife on a roller coaster. She does not like them, and it was like, up to the top. And when we got to the top, she's like, "What have you got me into?" And then the bottom dropped out.
Right.
And so we almost got divorced over that, for me getting her on there. But it was. If you've never been on one, you know the rush. I love them.
Oh.
Not everybody does.
No, and I didn't I wouldn't even try it for the
Yeah.
longest time. Yeah.
So I know you're a big sports fan.
Yep.
I first met Greg at an ECU NC State football game tailgate party in Greenville. Long time ago. We both had dark hair. A long time ago. So I know you're a big Mets fan, you're a big Hurricanes fan. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, as far as the Mets went, I was a Phillies fan because I grew up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia was closest. But Tom Seaver became my boyhood hero, and that's when I switched. And I switched at the beginning of 1969, not the end, but the beginning, having no clue that was going to be the miracle year, Now, the hockey thing, I hated hockey until 2001. And we were in a first-round playoff series against the Devils. We lost the first 3. Won
Like
the
we just had.
Right. Won the 4th in overtime, stole game 5 up there, and came back to Raleigh for game 6. And the kids wanted to go, and I said, "Okay, I'll take you." And we lost, but with 2 minutes left in the game, the entire arena spontaneously stood up and gave the team a standing ovation for extending the series. And I remember thinking to myself, if I took the time to learn the rules, this could really be a lot of fun. And the next year, I was in the arena for the Stanley Cup Finals against the Red Wings.
I saw you on TV.
And I was there for Game 7 when we won the Cup in 06. So,
Did they let you lift it and all that?
lift the cup? No, but they did let me do that thing at the beginning.
The horn,
yeah, the horn.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is pretty cool. So the last time you were here, I think you made at least 20 puns. We may or may not have a pun counter going
Okay.
tonight. We'll see. So I have a challenge for you.
Okay.
The loser has to jump in the Wesleyan fountain outside the studio here. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe not.
All right.
I want you to pretend that you're in a bar or club, and I've dared you to come up with a weather-related pickup line, and there has to be a pun somewhere in there. Go. You gotta keep it clean.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. I could just maybe walk up, to a woman and say, you just exude a warm front, and I'd like to meet you.
It's probably the cleanest one I've heard. Feel free, if you want to do any more, I know you've got more.
Really, I'm going to get myself in trouble here. So.
We don't want that. So since you were so quick, I guess I'll be the one jumping in the fountain because I really didn't realize you'd come up that quick. So
what was your idea? Did you have one?
I did not.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But look, I really want to thank you for coming tonight.
Oh, gosh.
Always good to see you. Thank you so much for coming to Rocky Mount. This is Greg Fishel, y'all. This ain't just some Rocky Mount guy. This is the man right here.
And I have such, do we have time for me to just tell a quick story?
Sure, go ahead.
I have such good memories of this area because my very best friend is a band director at Athens Drive High School in Raleigh. Mm-hmm. And every year they come to Wesleyan College for their week-long band camp. Mm-hmm. And I volunteered the 2 years that my youngest son was in the band, but then I did it 6 years after that because it was just that much fun. And so, you know, right next to this building is where a lot of those rehearsals took place. And I was driving through this afternoon on my way over here and just got very nostalgic because it was such a good time.
Very good. And I really appreciate you coming, man. You're such a pleasure. We're going to have you back. You may be the first three-timer. But I do appreciate it. And we will definitely get you back on. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Sam.
Greg Fishel. Hey, let me tell you about this week's Maggie Society Dog of the Week. A fluffy ball of fur by the name of Pebble Dash. I don't know where they come up with these names, but that's fine. You can change it if you want to. He's a 4-month-old poodle, approximately 4 pounds and 100% fluff. So if you're looking for something to keep your lap warm, don't waste money on a cashmere blanket. Just contact the Maggie Society and get Pebble Dash as your pet. Hey, thanks everybody for watching every Thursday night at 10 o'clock right here on WHIG, Up Late with Sam Bass. We have great guests, folks. Greg Fishel was here tonight, okay? So make sure you tune in every Thursday night. We really appreciate it. See you soon.